Welcome to GenAI Research Insight Hub channel. Let's deep dive. Imagine, AI taking an open book exam. It's pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah.
You look at the answers, but we all know open book exams aren't just about finding the information. It's about understanding and applying it, and that's what we're diving into today.
Yeah.
A paper about training AI to do just that, to think more deeply about the information it finds. Kind of like how you'd prepare for a big open book test.
Yeah, it's a really cool shift from the old way of training AI where we would just basically force feed it tons and tons of data
Right.
and hope that it would memorize everything and spit out the right answer.
Yeah, like memorizing flashcards without really getting those concepts.
Yeah, exactly.
So how is this paper approaching things differently?
So this paper introduces a new technique called RAFT,
Uh-huh.
Retrieval-Augmented Fine Tuning. And the big idea here is to train AI to actually reason and evaluate information like you would if you were studying for an exam.
So it's not just about memorizing facts, but actually understanding them.
Exactly. Yeah, and the researchers tested this RAFT against other methods on various data sets like medical question answering and complex reasoning tasks, even like understanding code documentation.
Wow.
And the results were really pretty impressive. RAFT consistently outperformed these other methods.
So it actually works.
Yeah.
I'm curious, though. How does RAFT actually teach AI to reason? Is it like AI school?
Well, not exactly AI school, but it's a pretty clever training method. You know, imagine you're studying for that open book exam, and instead of just giving you the textbook with the answer highlighted, RAFT uses a mix of documents. So some with the right answers, and then others are just filled with irrelevant information.
So it's like finding a needle in a haystack.
Yeah, it is, and that's the whole point.
Mm.
By training with both relevant and irrelevant information, RAFT teaches the AI to kind of tell the difference between the helpful and unhelpful sources,
Oh, interesting.
to become more discerning.
So you're training it to be more resourceful and independent, kind of like when you're researching something online. And you have to go through a bunch of different websites to find credible ones.
That's a great analogy. And this actually helps the AI perform well when it has to deal with a ton of documents
Right.
at test time, like thinking about it for the real world where there's just so much information.
So it's not just about finding the answer, but
Yeah.
knowing how to evaluate different sources.
Right.
That's pretty neat.
Mm.
But how do we know the AI is actually understanding the information and not just getting lucky with its searches?
Yeah, so that's where what they call chain of thought responses come in.
Okay.
So instead of just giving a one-word answer, the AI actually has to explain its reasoning process, like step by step, and even cite the sources that it uses.
So it's like showing your work on a math problem.
Yeah,
You're not just giving the answer, you're showing how you got there.
exactly. And that's a key element of this RAFT. It's training the AI to not just find the right information, but to actually understand it deeply enough to explain its reasoning.
That's impressive. And the researchers found that in some cases, training the AI without the correct answer actually made it better at finding and understanding the information on its own.
Yeah.
That's kind of counterintuitive, right?
Yeah, it does sound a little counterintuitive, but think of it like this. When you have the answer right in front of you, it's really easy to just rely on that and not really dig into the material.
Right.
But when you don't have the answer, you're kind of forced to think more critically and engage with the information a lot more deeply.
So it's like giving the AI a little bit of a struggle to make it learn more effectively.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, can you give us an example of how this works? Like where RAFT excels in a specific task where other traditional methods might fall short?
Absolutely. So the paper uses an example from the Hotpot QA dataset. And the task involved identifying like a screenwriter
Okay.
based on some clues. And the traditional fine-tuning method, which just focuses on like question and answer pairs, got stuck on a surface level detail and incorrectly cited a movie title instead of the screenwriter's name.
So it kind of missed the point of the question.
Yeah, exactly. But RAFT, because it had been trained to reason and explain its thinking, actually correctly identified the screenwriter.
Wow.
It went through the text, it pinpointed like the relevant sentences, and it presented a clear argument for its answer, just like a well-prepared student would.
That's a pretty compelling example. It really shows the difference between retrieving information and actually understanding it.
Right, and that's what makes RAFT so exciting. It's not just about getting the right answer, it's about developing AI that can think critically, understand this complex information, and even explain its reasoning back to us.
So it's moving more towards how we think and learn.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've kind of established that RAFT is really advancing these AI capabilities. But what does this actually mean for us in the real world? Are there any practical applications for this type of open book AI?
Absolutely, and that's what we'll dive into next.
Yeah, so the potential applications of this type of AI are really incredibly vast. Okay, I'm all ears. What kind of real-world scenarios are we talking about here?
Well, let's start with something you might be familiar with: online search. Imagine searching for something online, but instead of just getting, a list of links,
Right.
you get an AI that can actually summarize the most relevant information from those links
Okay.
and then explain it to you in a way that's easy to understand.
So it's like having your own personal research assistant to cut through all that clutter.
Exactly.
Right.
And this could be applied to so many different areas. Think about healthcare, where doctors could use AI to analyze huge amounts of medical research and provide personalized treatment recommendations.
Oh, wow, that sounds amazing. That could really revolutionize healthcare.
Yeah, and what about the legal field? Lawyers could use this type of technology to sift through tons of legal documents, find relevant precedents,
Right.
and even get help with crafting legal arguments.
It's like a superpowered legal research team right at your fingertips.
Exactly. And let's not forget about education. Imagine students having access to AI tutors that adapt to their own individual learning styles and provide targeted feedback.
Well, that's a game changer.
Yeah, and even help them develop those critical thinking skills.
That would make education so much more engaging for everyone.
These are just a few examples, but the possibilities are really endless. As this technology continues to develop,
Right.
we can expect to see even more innovative applications emerge.
This is all incredibly exciting, but I also wonder about the challenges and limitations of this type of AI. Are there any potential downsides that we need to be aware of?
Of course. With any powerful technology, there are always challenges. One of the key issues is, the potential for unintended consequences.
Hmm.
For example, if we rely too heavily on AI to interpret information for us,
Right.
we might start to lose our own critical thinking skills.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like using GPS navigation all the time.
Exactly.
Eventually, you might forget how to read a map.
We need to make sure that we use AI as a tool to enhance our own abilities, not replace them.
So it's about finding the right balance between human intelligence and AI assistance.
Absolutely. And there's also this issue of transparency.
Okay.
How can we be sure that AI is actually giving us accurate information?
Right.
How can we understand its reasoning and verify that it's not being influenced by hidden biases?
Those are really important questions, yeah. We need to make sure that these AI systems are being developed responsibly.
Exactly. We need to be able to trust the information it gives us,
Right.
and that trust is built through transparency.
Now, let's not forget about the potential impact on jobs as well. If AI can perform tasks that were once done by humans, what happens then?
Yeah, that's a valid concern and one that we definitely need to address. As this technology advances, it's inevitable that some jobs will become automated,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's likely that new jobs will emerge that we can't even imagine yet.
So AI is not necessarily taking over jobs, but changing them.
Exactly, and it's really important that we focus on developing the skills and knowledge that are going to be needed for this evolving job market.
We need to keep learning and adapting.
Yes, absolutely.
This is all really thought-provoking. It seems like we're at a pivotal moment in the development of AI, and the choices we make now are really going to impact the future.
I couldn't agree more. We have a responsibility to ensure that AI is being used ethically and responsibly.
Well said. So, with all these potential benefits and challenges in mind, where do we go from here? What are the next steps in developing this type of open book AI?
That's a great question. I think there are a few key areas that researchers are going to be focusing on in the coming years. One is improving the accuracy and reliability of AI's reasoning abilities. We need to be sure that it can consistently provide us with correct information, even when dealing with complex data.
So it's not just about AI sounding smart, but actually being smart.
Exactly. And another key area is developing systems that can better understand and respond to human language. We need to be able to interact with AI naturally, just like we interact with each other.
That would definitely make AI more user-friendly.
And lastly, I think we need to continue exploring those ethical implications of open book AI. We need to develop frameworks and guidelines that make sure that AI is used fairly and responsibly.
So it's not just about building smarter AI.
Right.
It's about building AI that's beneficial and trustworthy.
Exactly. And that takes a lot of careful consideration.
Okay, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. We've explored the potential of open book AI, but also the challenges and responsibilities.
Yeah, it's been a great discussion.
I hope our listeners now have a better understanding of this technology and how it might impact our world.
I hope so too.
Now, before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a thought-provoking question to think about.
All right.
We talked about AI's potential to change various fields like healthcare, law, and education.
Right.
But what about other areas of our lives? What everyday tasks or problems do you think open book AI could help us with?
That's a great question. Let us know what you think in the comments below. We would love to hear your ideas.
Yeah, we're always looking for new and interesting topics to explore.